Thank you for having me here in this session. I'm Thomas Gradl. Since 9 years, I work in the world of the additive manufacturing. Today, I would like to give you a short introduction where we are with its industrial additive manufacturing solutions, what applications are addressed until today, what might be interest for you, what could be the challenges considering this technology also in the future. So additive manufacturing is spreading into serial production. Just here's some example of custom implant at the tabular cups, components of instruments, or the dental industry. Did you know one of the first CE marked implants produced with our technology was approximately 14 years ago? So in general, for the AM world, it's a long decade specific for medical implants. It's just a rookie, just a beginning. So today we are counting around 200 cleared products in the orthopedics industry. Mostly of them are in the FDA market, but there are more and more pioneers, product upcomings also from the CFDA, the APEC market, or in other regulated markets like South America in the ANVISA. I added this overview also to demonstrate you a comparison from the FDA cleared data of AM components in the middle of the 20s. So we see here a quite well exponential growth till today, and there is still more than up. Also, in addition, what's ongoing in Europe, I picked up this overview from the Avicen. It's just 2 years old, but I think it's still a nice overview in my opinion. So you can see a chart of the production of spinal cages and a total amount from annually 2 years ago of 400,000 units. So the blue upper shows the traditional machined cage is more and more decreasing over years. We see the major material PEEK becomes also more and more decreasing over the last few years. And you see here the green line in the middle, and it shows the additive manufacturing produced components are steadily from year to year more increasing. Up you see right 16 up to 20% per year. So why AM technology is so interesting? So from the technical side, it allows a full adaptation to apply lattice structures on the implant. So the pore size in general could be modified in certain areas specific of the cancellous bone, independently where it's located in the human body. There's already a row of several regular structures on the market. So for sure, there is also a clear potential to create a new differentiation from the medical implant manufacturer itself, like using another structure. For the long-term view, there is an enormously potential also to develop completely new kind of structures for a future potentially better patient outcome. So from industrial additive manufacturing, the functional principle of, we talk here about powder-based metal printing technology, I will roughly explain. So similar to the other technologies, the initial situation is a three-dimensional CAD model. This model converts to a respective layer thickness during the data preparation. In general, layer thickness depends on the material, the resolution, laser spot size, and the system, of course. But this kind of features could be adapted. So that's in general the features of powder bed industrial solutions. So with this technology, with metal printing, support is required to ensure form stability and to prevent heat dissipation during the build process. This takes place in a build chamber, and where usually polymer or plastic materials are melted layer by layer. In general, support is depending on the component geometry, or when using, on example, an AM designed blank, support may not necessary anymore in certain geometries. So in this case of future development of design, this could be an ideal of a near net shape part, what could be considered in a production. So this could be seen also in this what you see here, the chart I would add is about the visibility of additive of industrial 3D printed products. So you see here an overview left on the spine market group. We see here a known of well-known and medical device companies, large players, challengers players, and they already have AM cages in their product portfolio and sell it to the several markets. As you see here on the picture, there is much more complexity achievable thanks to this layer by layer principle. So the picture right below demonstrates a build shop. Here on example, a production of cervical cage. There is a high yield of one production achievable. So you have here the freedom of design also to put different sizes for cervical cage or lumbar cage, just to print one lot on example in 24 hours. And this has, of course, a cost-effective impact. More and more also in the field of 3D printed titanium cups are visible on the market. The principle could be here similar, using the technology for increasing the surface growth of a potentially higher osseointegration. Usually these cups with lattice structure are used for breast fit implants. So an application where no cement is usually needed when implanting the cup. So as shown here, it's an example of a random structure. It looks like a cancellous bone. There's also the option to use a regular structure like a diamond cell, are still already produced today up to 100,000 units per year. So it's very strong, varying by the implant manufacturer itself and what kind of clinical studies he has, of course. So when going into processes, there is a potential also to replace additional coating. So due to the generation of rough surface during the printing process, sometimes an additional coating to get the same outcome might be not necessary anymore. And it's same here also, what you see here on the build shop, it's a dimension of 250 multiple 250. There is also potential to put other sizes, so maybe low runner or of larger or smaller acetabular cups in one build shop, and also to get here a cost-effective production, and in addition also to allows a flexible production. So to summarize, most of the major players already has minimum one additive manufactured acetabular cup in their portfolio. And also the challenger against the major players are here very competing with some really exciting, cool products. This is a quite new one, and I'm really happy to promote also to this event our partner here in France. So 3D MedLab is currently working to implement production of femoral components. So in our young medical AM history, it wasn't typical to build such of solid cobalt chrome components in mass production in the beginning. So when talking about mass production, there might be up to 50,000 unit standard sizes produced by a major OEM. But what about outer sizes, where just a mid-volume of thousands or hundreds annually needed? Casting might become higher in cost. It's a kind of inflexibility to provide various quantities and longer reaction time to supply parts, or when modifying design on example. So definitely is this a pioneer step also to entry in this field in a high volume market, may some of you know. And due to this process development, what our partner is doing, beside off-the-shelf implants, so you see here standard sizes, there is also potential of use of additive manufacturing in direct printing, like why not a femoral custom implant, what will bring additional benefit for a potentially better patient-specific solution. So AM has already a high perception using this technology as solution for customized implants. So there is often the situation where traditional implants not solving the problems. Extremely cases, like you see here, let me say, a tumor reconstruction or a suicide trial, leave a challenging situation for the surgeon to treat the patient. beside of the complexity, there is a hurry need to provide immediately an implant to the point of care. So if you look at this part, right, full machining, impossible. The flap might vibrating when machining. Maybe you can see here inner the weight reduction, so the removed material, this can't be machined. This is nearly impossible. So usually, compromises are needed. This might not fit to the patient situation itself. What about casting? Theoretically, it might be possible, but it takes additional weeks to make the pass, to prepare the cast. And in worst case, in complex situation, there are more castings needed, and it also has an impact of the cost. So thanks here, layer to layer building, it's possible to build a raw part, which is, let me say, as a near net shape, similar to the patient situation's defect. But one of the keys is mainly to combine the knowledge between additive manufacturing with traditional methods. So as you know, machine surfaces can't be achieved with printing. So to prevent any compromise, there is knowledge required to consider the next production step. So when maybe in the printing a raw part, so you see here the complex shapes becomes challenging when machining afterwards. Maybe you have free form geometries, how to machine this. So what about holders or fixtures on example to adapt this in a perfect way to the next processing step? So to machine surfaces, for example, to provide any inlay for the ceramic inlay, or to machine a side where the soft tissue is contacting with the implant. So this is one of the key lessons when learning, when trying out to get the full potential of this technology. Further applications seen also in the field of CMF implants. So like before today, specific when traditional plates can't bend to the right geometry. So thanks to pre-surgery planning, AM allows here directly from the CAD model to print directly the form as it needed as a raw component. So you see here left, it's a very complex, the left one is a total mandibular jaw implant, and it's also coated in addition. And you see here also for the joint in the upper mandibular section, there is a manually polishing behind. Orbitar floors, as you can see right on the model, very often used. And the case beside of the right picture was provided from my colleague in India. Such of components are impossible to bend in a certain situation where such of implants are needed. What I would like to add also here is combining printing steel and machine it afterwards. And this could be also interesting to use it, for example, for the instrumentation or for the low volume instrumentation where a thread is needed, on example. Polymer technology for disposable instruments, pretty high acceptance since 2009. One of our customer is Smith & Nephew, we can talk about. So there is already a high acceptance using our technologies to produce guides for drilling or for cutting in the surgery. And one of the benefits is the short term of a specific instrument kit for one procedure, final sterilized. There is also a high rate of cost saving because the instrumentation is finally designed to each process step. And to get an imagine, I added below the picture, often you see just one or two guides. There is a whole instrumentation set needed, you see on the lower side, where with traditional manufacturing, this expands 10,000 euro for one personalized surgery. And here we see also the full potential using the polymer technology to build this in one production batch and provide this to the point of care. Anatomical models also have an interesting usage for training or simulations, pre-surgery planning for complex cases. And this model helps to create a physical model to plan a surgery. So it's also, it generates a potential clearer understanding of the patient situation, and it could also increase more efficient and a safety procedure during the message. Also the level of education, I would like to name here also our partner additive, to teach, to develop the next generation of surgeons or doctor, and in general also for the patient outcome. It allows a better understanding why an operation is needed. Also instrumentation are more and more upcoming, size for spinal, and here one example from Endocon here in Germany. It's a revision instrumentation. Also here additive is also providing with our technology 17-4 pH stainless steel, specific for instrumentation, low volume, or for trainings. So we're already addressing many fields in the implant industry. So cups, custom implants, cages. There are upcoming more and more fields and get a higher perception rate. So exciting on the application for extremity is something ongoing. Also the story of femoral components is really exciting to enter new high volume markets, and there are more and more investigations ongoing. Also the field of hip stems, in my opinion, this will be one of the next wows. We know hip stems have a high fatigue load. We have to succeed forging dynamical fatigue risk comparison. And I would also invite about, if you're aware about metal printing, when talking about supportless printing, I invite you also afterwards, come to our booth and see how supportless hip stem could be printed. So I just accelerate a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just so, I wanted to take some questions, but you still have 1-2 minutes. Don't worry.
Yeah, I have 3 slides, and just to show also what's ongoing here on the medical equipment field. Dan Lee is one of our partner, also to provide better performance part to get a better diagnostic imaging results. And they're using here also 3D printing. It's a kind of, the name is an anti-scatter grid. And with this grid, it allows a better resolution for the imaging. And you see here, there are wall thickness in an area of 50 microns up to 80 microns achievable with powder-based technologies. In general, in common understanding, this is not typical with our technologies in general. So these are specific, tuned, modified machines, also to addressing such of applications. I want also come back to the COVID situation, and it was 1 year ago, bridging the gap. There were a lot of applications upcoming. The shown nasal swab application, what's now is a typical example until today to enable a distributed manufacturing, just to provide a sterile packaged nasal swab to spread it out from Europe to North America, and providing 100,000 such of components to the healthcare industry to ensure enough quantities for the testing of potential COVID-19 infections. I want to add these numbers. I found it few months ago because it was an overwhelming situation what was ongoing into our 3D printing industry. And it's just here's a number I estimated for the European market. It was up to 3.5 million units only of easy personal protective equipment like masks, filter components, or spare parts, face shields, or headbands, what was here supplied from our industry. And if you consider here, in many cases, there were no 3D printing model available because it's a traditional product, what usually supplied. It's remarkable beside how our community is reacting in this short way to provide here goods up to 12 million units to the people they are waiting for this. So Alex, there were some questions.
Yeah, exactly. We'll try to be quick, but I really wanted to take some of the question. I'll choose them wisely. I think if you had to sum up, in your opinion, what are the challenges of metal 3D printing when we talk about the medical sector?
Challenges, definitely one of the challenges is to get a full understanding from the process itself. As you see here, I just added this picture. It's not about only the process itself, what is happening in the machine. It's more about the common understanding, what's needed before start printing, and of component manufacturing, what's behind after the printing step. And one further challenges also is to find the right application, and of third in the regulated industry is also how can I ensure to guarantee the repeatability and the usage, the effectiveness such of components when it comes from out of a printer.
Thanks, Thomas. And maybe one last question, and after people can still come and see you because we'll move to the networking session. I think you are at the stage level 3, table 1. So don't hesitate to go and talk with Thomas. Let's take one final question. I think you already answered it, but what are the available metals for medical application? I think you mentioned titanium, you mentioned cobalt chrome.
Mm-hmm. In general, usually it's titanium in pure titanium, grade 2, grade 5 titanium, the Eli version specific for the North America market. There is several stainless steel material available. As mentioned, the 70-4 pH. Also a version of 316L for metallic printing. Also outer materials like tungsten. Copper could be also very interesting for several applications in the medical equipment industry. Precious metal could be an additional potential like platinum or rhodium material or gold. For polymers, it's PA11, PA12. And there are much more materials under development, but this we could also provide in a separate session. So there is quite already a lot of materials available.